Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make Jamaican curry goat. The first and main ingredient that you need is the goat. Right here I have 2 pounds of goat. I'm always used to washing my meat, so right here I have vinegar plus limes for washing and cleaning the goat. But before I use any vinegar or lime, I usually just like running room temperature water over the goat just to give it a nice little rinse first. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now, is just rinsing through it. After I wash through it, I just pour the water off because now I'm about to pour the vinegar on and then mix it with some water as well. So I usually just add about a half cup of vinegar and then mix it with water. Just a disclaimer, I grew up washing my meat. I'm Jamaican. I was born in Jamaica, and this is what we do. We wash our meat. I know some people just like going straight to seasoning their meat and cooking it, but washing the meat is something that I always do. So right now, I'm just going through with some water and just, rinsing through each piece of meat. Once everything has been thoroughly rinsed through, then I just pour the water off. Then I'm just going to follow up by adding a little bit more water, room temperature again, just to kind of get rid of the vinegar smell. I don't want the vinegar smell lingering around because I'm going to follow up with my limes. But right now, just making sure that all the vinegar is out of it is very important. Once everything has been thoroughly washed again, I just pour the water off. Now I'm just going to add the limes in. If you don't have limes or lemon handy, then you could just use the vinegar alone and just rinse it like I did before. But I'm just following up with this extra step of using the lime juice and just squeezing it all over the goat just to give it that extra rinse. So right now I'm just squeezing the juice from each piece, and I'm just going to follow up with rinsing it off with water like I did before. So once the lime juice is all in, then I'm just going through once again with room temperature water and just rinsing through each piece of meat. This is the final rinse, so I'm just going through and just, using the gloves to kind of mix into the meat to get it nice and washed, because I'm not going to be rinsing it again after this. I'm going to pour the water off and then just proceed to start seasoning up everything. When you drain off the water, you're going to make sure that all the water is out of the dish or whatever that you're using to wash the meat. You want to make sure that as much of the water is out as possible because you don't want your meat to be too wet. You want to have some liquid left in it, but just not a lot. Now that the goat is all nice and clean, we're just going to prepare our seasonings. Here I have seasoned salt, garlic salt, curry powder, and black pepper. You could use the hot curry powder if you'd like, but right now I'm just using the mild. So I'm trying to get better at measurements because as Jamaicans, we just love eyeing everything when it comes to seasoning. But I'm just sprinkling about 4 tablespoons of curry powder all over the goat. I don't need a lot of black pepper, so right now I'm just using a pinch of black pepper. Following up with about 1 teaspoon of garlic salt. And then I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of seasoned salt. So right now I'm just going through and then using my hand to kind of just get everything into the meat, get all the flavors and all the seasonings combined. You could also use a fork for this step if you'd like, but I feel like using my hand just gets everything more deep into the meat and gets it, nice and flavorful. So once that's all rubbed in, now I'm just going to prepare some scallion, thyme, ginger, scotch bonnet pepper, garlic, onion, pimento seeds, and potatoes. So I'm about to just wash everything and chop everything up except for the pepper. You could use the whole pepper or you could just use pieces of it, but I'm just going to leave it whole for now. With everything all chopped up nicely, now it's time to just combine everything all together. So I'm just going to be rubbing everything in just like I did with all my other seasonings before. I'm just going to put everything in so it could get nice and marinated. This smells so good. Like all the herbs, spices, all the flavors combining together just smells super amazing. So right now I'm kind of just breaking down the onions a bit just to get them into smaller pieces. This is just optional, but this is just something I do just to kind of get, everything all together evenly distributed. So here's the pepper whole. If I'm cooking for people who love spice, then I might just cut off like 4 or 5 pieces of the pepper and just, mix it in. But like I said, I'm leaving it whole. I'm just going to throw it in the pot whole like that because it's still going to give off some flavor, but it's just not going to be super spicy. But if you like spicy foods and you don't mind, then like I said, cut off like about 4 or 5 pieces of the pepper, throw it in there, and you just, rub everything all together, get it in there nice and marinated. Once it's finished and all the herbs, spices, and seasonings have been combined, it looks something like this. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cover it because I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to just marinate a bit for like 4 hours. If you're pressed for time, you could just do it for 4 hours, but if not, overnight is definitely the best. So after it's been marinating for 4 hours, it's time to start the cooking process. I'm using a little bit of oil, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just add the meat to the oil. For this step, some people go ahead and they burn a little bit of curry before, but this is fine because I used enough curry when I was seasoning it, so I don't need to burn the curry. Plus, I have some ginger in there to kind of, if anything, settle people's stomach. But yeah, you could burn the curry before you fry up everything, or you could just add some ginger to your curry if you like, whichever you prefer. But this is my way of doing it. Sometimes I burn my curry, sometimes I don't. In this instance, I'm not doing it. I'm just adding the meat straight to the pot. Once everything is all in, then I'm just going ahead and lightly mixing everything around because I'm going to allow it to just start like sauteing down for about 5 minutes. So I'm just mixing through, getting everything, all together. And then I'm going to leave it, let it fry for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and check on it. So the very first 10 minutes of cooking is just essentially to just saute everything together to kind of get the meat a little bit browned. This is not the cooking down process because once I start cooking everything down, I'm going to add in my water and everything like that. So right now, I'm just mixing through, sauteing everything, making sure that everything is getting browned. So at this point, everything has been sauteing lovely for about 15 minutes now. And as you can see, the meat has gotten a little bit browned. So now I'm going to get into the process of cooking everything down. Curry goat is a little bit harder texture-wise. So I'm going to give this a full 2 hours and 30 minutes to get done. So now I'm just going to prepare my water to get the process started. Altogether, I'm going to be using 3 cups of water, but for starting, I'm going to be using only 2 cups, and then later on, I'm going to add another cup when the water starts drying down a bit. So yeah, this is just to get the process of everything simmering down, cooking down well. So I'm just going ahead and just mixing in the water. Later on, I'm also going to add a little bit more curry powder, depending on, the color and the flavor. If you want to add more things as you go along, you definitely could do that. So right now, I'm just going to allow it to just simmer down. Now we could go ahead and add the pepper in as well, because earlier when I was sauteing everything, I don't want the pepper to burst. So yeah, this is fine to add it in now. Cover your pot and then allow it to start cooking. So roughly an hour into cooking, this is what everything is looking like. You can see the water has dried down quite a bit. So now I'm just going to be mixing everything around just to make sure that everything is cooking well and it's not like sticking to the bottom of the pot or anything like that. And also, you want to be very careful when you're like stirring everything around because remember the pepper is still in there. You do not want this pepper to burst because it's going to spoil your food, especially if you don't love spicy stuff. I don't mind, but I'm not cooking for myself. So yeah, you just want to gently make sure that you're mixing everything around. And yeah, like I said, be careful. Be very, very careful when it comes to the pepper. So earlier I mentioned that I was going to use 3 cups of water. So now I'm just adding in the last cup. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take the pepper out altogether just to be on the safe side. So now I'm going to just mix everything around again and I'm just going to leave it cooking for another hour. So this is going to be the second hour into the whole cooking process. And then by the time I'm finished with this 1 hour, then I'm going to come back and add in the potatoes to finish up everything. So this is the final leg of cooking. Now I'm just adding in my potatoes. This is 3 potatoes that I just cut in cubes. I'm just going to be mixing everything around. As you can see, the curry has lost a little bit of color because, you know, the water that I used for cooking it down. So now I'm just going to add a little bit more curry back to it, and I'm going to add some ketchup also to my water. Yes, I said ketchup. I'm going to add some ketchup to my water because I know how the Jamaicans had a field day with my curry chicken video, but yeah, I definitely do add ketchup to my curry. So I'm just adding 1 tablespoon of ketchup to my gravy, and then I'm going to follow up and just add in a little bit more curry powder as well. So 20 minutes later, this is what everything's looking like. I'm about to do a taste test just to make sure that the meat is tender enough. The potatoes are fully cooked at this point, but I just want to make sure that everything is good to go. If not, I'm going to give it a little bit more time. So I ended up giving the meat another 15 minutes to get done, and now everything is looking good, smelling good, and I can go ahead and just turn everything off.